Today we'll make print from my trip to Austria in the beginning of 2020, and I also have a scan from Carmencita lab from this particular negative, so we can compare the fully digital scan with the fully analog print. So let's unpack my darkroom and dress up for development. I find the pockets in my apron really useful, so you don't need to search in the darkness for your scissors and the pen. I still have an old stock of my solution, so let's bring it up to the temperature using from the beginning the warm water and put the circulator inside the bucket and set up it to the temperature of 36 degrees to have exactly 35 degrees inside the bottles. Probably in future I will find the time to make a few modifications to my heating system, but for now it works, so let's focus on my art. I bring my folder number 1 and I have a mixture of the photographs in a chronological order. As you can see on this film I have a sticker, so it means it was developed in a lab, and I have these 3 pictures from Vienna, so let's load it in the holder, carefully clean the dusts from the surfaces and from the film. I'm trying to keep my surfaces clean, so I usually store everything packed inside the bags or just in a clean place. And try to work in some kind of a humid environment to reduce static electricity and the dust in general. So let's remove the filters from optical path and check our picture for exposure. I like composition of this frame with the different colors and different lighting and actually interplay of the reflections on the building behind. So as a first step, let's focus on a picture using simple Patterson grain finder as our guide. This is plastic construction device, maybe it's not so precise, but it works amazingly well and without any problems. In this small window you can clearly see the structure or the grain on the black and white film, and with a fully open aperture, if it's in focus, it means it will be in focus in rest of the apertures if you don't change the focus distance to your print. So let's finish up our preparation with the color calibration. I will switch off the filter, put the diffuser and close down aperture to f11. And the next step, put the sensitive hat from my color calibrator on the table, and with the lights turned off and cyan channel on, with a 10-second exposure on the device, let's find the maximum intensity under diffuse light. And when I have all the settings for different channels on my head, I can remove the sensitive hat, remove the diffuser and lock the aperture at the maximum position. So let's open the paper under the safe light. I'm using Yoba Maxilux as a color safe light, and because it's too close I just point it in the wall, and with a yellow light I can make exposure for my small test piece. For development I'm using closed system in a Yoba tank for 30 by 30 prints. So let's check the temperature, it already should be 35 degrees, and let's proceed with the development. This is rotation number 22, and our plan is 35 seconds of color developer and 45 seconds of edge fix. And because of the chemistry is highly reusable, I just put it back after each development and blix fix step. And when the development procedure is finished, we can open the tank because paper is no longer light sensitive, and we can inspect what the result we have. And after quick rinsing with the warm water, we can dry the tank with a cloth for next print and starting to drying print on the wall. If you're on a rush, you can actually make decisions with the color even on a wet print, because it's a resin printing, the top side dries quickly, and with the drying there's almost no change in color and the density of the print. So I really like overall the warmth and the composition of the picture, different colors in the buildings. But unfortunately I lost a little bit of the details in the building in the behind, and I have a small green tint on the building. It's not really noticeable, but we will try to fix it in our development. So for this I will change my magenta channel and reduce it to increase magenta. And because my tint is really small, I will just start with the writing down all my initial settings in my lab book, and using my test printer I will make a steps with a cyan channel and going with the steps of 2, so it's a 1 denominator of my head, and make 6 steps down. So let's put our window on desirable place, and I chose this building in the front of the picture, which should be kind of a middle gray, maybe a little bit warm, and making 10-second exposure in the first window and close it up, adjust the channel, and make second exposure with the movement of the test printer. We can, after quick development, make 6 different prints with a completely 6 different settings. And because the steps is really small, probably on a camera it's not really noticeable, but in person these details make a huge difference on appearance of the print. So let's write down all the settings and investigate which settings we need for the print later. First of all is the proper direction, so I see the decreasing in a green channel, so increasing in a magenta color, and it's solving my problem around 20. So the parameter for the dial on the photo head will be 20 for the final print. So let's remove the test printer and tape everything down in my lab book for future reprints. And also it's a good example of the small steps in color for future prints. So let's set up magenta for 20 and make a final print. I'm aligning the easel, turn on the pilot light, put the paper in the easel, and run the exposure for 10 seconds. And as the next step, I will make a little bit of burning of the building in the backside of the picture, trying to save all the details, because I see these details in a negative, I want to see them also in the print. So I made a small hole with the 2 hands close to the lens and just burn the building in the back for 10 seconds. So let's hope all of our settings will appear correctly and the exposure on the building behind will be also good enough. For more precise printing, it's also better to just make an exposure test on this building, but for now I just will guess and try to make the final print. So already you can see I don't have any technical problem with the print, with the alignment and easel, so let's quickly wash it and dry it on the wall and inspect the colors and maybe the additional steps what we need to make. I already like appearance of this print, so the building on the left and on the right create a little bit of the channel and moving forward the eyes to this yellowish building in the back. And my adjustments for exposure almost save a little bit of the details from the building. But what I see here, it's a strange shadowing and the fogging of the paper on the left side. So we can compare the print what I make with the scan from the Carmencita lab. Probably it's a surprise for you that print looks really close enough to the scans, because I have a different logic and because I have a different settings for this building. For example, I changed the magenta tint, and pictures directly printed on paper doesn't really look like HDR pictures made with a scanner. So I really like the both methods, and both methods give you different feel. So thank you for watching and see you in the next videos.